Wila ni ngau no e buhina nang ko le dau buli ho ngana primary kan dau hau iau ho nga ho inang kumeo dau muri ha bon na lahi goli waindui se lahi wai rano o iau nuti au sabara o ina saranguyaya harau rawa uangu lawa anohe aha o mera awahinayaya au lahui dahau endau ua mba ini vanua e randau uhinai kan dau kau biro nga arahi dau lai lave ba me hili dia ba ngona randau uhinai ka kau maya iga ua bibili ua lumi hena sandren ria ala wasarani mambahanga ahina siwa umamindau lang sa hau nga lawa siwa bulan-bulan ahina ngonda hi ahana hi hoira ngonera umbir da rasusuni iyo dua hanga nda ya dau maro ahina nin ro mai hana bahari yang bubal ndo na maro ahina berunga honra o hana iga so au ngani banua dau lava hi mami bahai abia bubal na mangi ina hena lava mam dau bi hawa maram mam dau lahingul Iya dau le bua ai ka rauni kuma menda buri ahina so. Oi ranga hain dia ihini bano mamilah mai hina rapoli ai ka. Eso mendau me apa me buli meraya inian dola duai ui rani ono ikai ka. Kai labo mai buli nasuka masima hai mangga ui vale sanara rawa iwa ilabongon sabuli ai menai kangon. Dau iwa henandre so ngau no memindau ngulin dau ue suai kalau lau I wai. Ni ko memindau hau esualawa erasa lawa mahawa sara memindau gale angabahina rasa era doho ai ga era le bambal lenga ua memilawa. Ngau na nyon ralo ngon sandau mangangani boli. Ngono sana mangangani boli sa hau ngamai bale kamai kani. Ni awalua makete apa salu usumbu ngama ya barau ni ha memilai ni ko memilai ngoli so ngau na ha o so ngau na sa mangani awano agile sana rawani dua sara ngale ngango na hina mabu bale usa mangan rawani lai ngoli usa mangani kanai ka erasa ke uaka mebuli sana amurani rawa imay so hambal ani samay ubahan dua.
Good evening and welcome to the Qoli Vakamatau Show. If you're tuning in from around the region, Ambula Vinaka to you. For those of you who are tuning in from our country in Fiji, we warmly welcome you to our show tonight, and we hope that our deliberations or talano tonight will one that will be fruitful for us and also bring upon some inspired actions that we can take into our communities. For those of you who have been joining us over the past few weeks, we thank you, and we are also thankful that we can have a platform where we can deliberate or ask questions about the importance of the Kaukawa and Donu pledge, and more importantly, in keeping it during the months of June to September. And also in the last few weeks, we've been talking about the importance of tambu, whether it works or it doesn't work. But we are also very grateful that we are able to have these kind of discussions in a time like this where we are inundated with the virus, the pandemic rather, that's gripping our nation at the moment. But we have some kind of discussions that really bring to the fore the importance of keeping our resources or conserving them, and also thinking to the future, I think is equally important. So tonight on the show, we'll be delving into the subject of why is improved mud crab management important. And joining us on the show tonight are two very informed people, we can say experts in this field of mud crab management in communities. And for those of us who know what this delicacy is all about, this would be an opportune time to really delve deeper into the life cycle of the mud crab, and more importantly, the important lessons we can take away in conserving them for the future. So tonight on the show, we have Anna Ciriyawa from WCS, or the Wildlife Conservation Society. We welcome her tonight, and we thank that she can avail herself and be to join us in our Talanoa tonight. Also joining us all the way from Lomanikoro in the Northern Division is Mrs. Qoli Veibi. We thank Mrs. Veibi for availing her time to be able to join us. She's also a frequent voice, a strong voice for women fishers in the division and in Fiji, in as far as mud crab fishing goes. Also, we're joined by my colleague Alwedela Keki tonight, who will also be taking part in our deliberations. So before we go into our Talanoa tonight, I'd like to invite our two guests, to briefly just introduce themselves, and then we'll start, our Talanoa proper this evening. Well, maybe we'll start with Anna, if you can just introduce yourself, what you do, and for how long have you been doing that for, and also then we'll go to Taru, who's joining us from the north. Anna.
Yes, sambolare to everybody tuning in tonight for this show. I'm Anna Ciriyawa, and I'm originally from Nassau, Napakasinga, but I was born and bred in Nakalu village, Maduata, with the maternal links in Rara, Yaketemba. I've been with WCS for exactly 2 years now, and I was just handed the mud crab project last year to lead on. And I've been working with Taru on this project for the past year. Thank you.
Thank you. If we can, Taru, if you can probably briefly introduce yourself to our audience tonight.
Thank you. Bulare, my name is Taru Veibi, and I'm from Boa village. This is my 6th year joining doing this project, mud crab project. I signed the contract in 2015 with WCS, and I work for FLEMA as a Women in Fisheries rep, representing women fishers in Fiji, the 14 provinces. Thank you.
Thank you, Taru. I think for us viewers tonight, Alumedi and I aren't strangers to the show, but it's good to have these two women, ladies, who are here with us tonight that can really lighten up our conversation or Talanoa tonight about a very important subject, and that is about mud crab management. And just to keep right as I will ask the two guests to really talk to us through about the work that they do. I'd like to take this time to acknowledge our support in the program through the LMMA, or the Locally Managed Marine Area Network International, for their support in this program, and also the Fiji Locally Marine Managed Area Network, which Taru is part of as well. She's a community facilitator and one that has been doing a lot of work in the communities in the Northern Division over the past 6 years. Also, we acknowledge the support of the Pacific Community, or SPC, the support also of the European Union and the government of Sweden for the Pacific European Union Marine Partnership Program, and also Oceans 5 in the Vibrant Oceans initiatives. Also tonight, we acknowledge the support of the Wildlife Conservation Society in being part of this Talanoa session tonight. Also, we acknowledge cChange Pacific for support in running out this program. We'll go right into a time of question and answer with Taru and Anna tonight. Maybe if you can just talk to us about the work that you do in our communities. I know there's a lot of work that WCS does and also that FLEMA does. And I know that, Taru also works with WCS in reaching out to the 3 provinces up in the Northern Division in as far as mud crab conservation or mud crab management goes. I just wanted to throw the question to Anna, if you can just start off the conversation for Talanoa tonight in the work that you do in communities, and also I'll ask that question if Taru can also elaborate more on what she does in the communities in the North.
Vinaka Matthew. Firstly, I would like to mention the fact that over the years, we have noticed a huge shift in the communities from that of subsistence living to commercial living. Mud crab has played a major role in the coastal communities in Fiji, where women focus on catching this lucrative commodity to be able to earn a living and support their families. Now, this is where we come in. When there is that shift in subsistence fishing to commercial fishing, we tend to see that now that we see overfishing and we see the overuse of these resources, and we try to come into the community and explain to them the importance of this resource and why it's important to save it for the future generations and for those who will be coming on later. What we try to do in these communities is we go in, we introduce the project, we try to get the community to understand why we're doing this. Now, we understand that mud crabs is an expensive resource. The price has been increasing over the years, and we understand that it's important to everyone in the community that depend on it as a source of income. The difference is, in the past, the elders used to just go in, catch the crabs to be able to fill their tummies for that particular day or the meal the next day. But now, people are starting to catch crabs in order to support their families financially. And I've heard of stories from families that have put their kids through school that have managed to get a job through mud crab fishing. And but because this resource does not reproduce as fast as we would like to be able to keep on supporting the communities, we try to bring in that initiative where we introduce the idea of management. Now, we understand that has been carried out in Fiji since the past. The idea of having tambu areas. So we bring in that same idea and we introduce it to the communities and say, see, you can also conserve this resource in order to be able to cater for the future. And we try to explain to them in simple terms, like when you use the idea of how do you say, fishing. Yes, of course, you can go and catch fish to feed your family today, to earn that money today, but do you think that resource will also be available, or that same size of fish will also be available for the future generation if you keep on using that same effort, that same dangerous fishing gear now? Those are just some of the ideas that we use to explain to the communities. And now we're living in a time where the demand of this resource is increasing, and communities are trying to meet that demand, where they go out and they use other sorts of unsustainable fishing practices to get this resource. And it's not sustainable at all, and it's not helping the ecosystem, and it's not going to be good for the community in the long run. And these are just some of the ideas that we use to introduce this mud crab management, or management in general, in the communities that we work with.
Thank you very much for that, Anna. Maybe Taru, if you can just share with us as well, you know, the work that you that's going on up in the Northern Division. I understand you look after 3 provinces in as far as the work that you do. You know, share more light about the communities that you're reaching out to in the north.
Vinaka, Matthew, as Anna has already elaborated on that, I think the only work that I'm doing with Anna is that we conducting workshops and trainings for women out in the communities, in not only in the 3 provinces in Vanua-Levu. Well, in Vanua-Levu, there are only 2 provinces that we have already conducted workshops. That is Mbua and Maduata once, that is in the middle part, central part of Maduata, which is in Lambasa. And Mbua from the far end of Mbua province, from Kumbulau to Lekutu. And in Viti-Levu, we have conducted workshops with Flema in Ba and Tavua, and also in Tailevu. Those are the 4 or 5 provinces that we've been working with the WCS and Flema conducting workshops. And I think that Anna has already talked about that. Yes, it is very true that our ancestors, not our ancestors, but the old ones, our grandmothers and our grandfathers, they used to go out fishing before they just get the big ones, catch the big crabs. And today, as we're facing all these circumstances, the fishermen, when they go out to catch crabs, they get the big ones and the small ones for 2 main reasons. One for consumption, and the other one for income. And I visited so many communities with Anna, not only with Anna, but with WCS and Flema reps, Flema staff, advocating on the sustainable use of fishing practices and of fishing, not only mud crabs, but other fishing. That is what we always do. I used to help them in communicating in their own language, which will be important with them and easy to communicate. Rather than people in the community, I mean women in the community, they hardly come across some workshops like WCS doing. WCS carries the workshop to each community. So in that, I always accompany Anna and other staff to conduct workshops in their language. Vinaka.
Vinaka, Taru, I think, for our listeners tonight, we sort of have some kind of idea of the work that WCS and Flema is doing in the communities, in reaching out to those who carry out or are fishers who catch mud crabs. I know something that Anna talked about, and also what Taru you talked about is unsustainable fishing practices. These are things that really are detrimental towards keeping or conserving our resources for the future. And as you said, around these is where management plans and communities take on these management plans and they implement it with the assistance of the organizations that are present here with us today. And I'm sure there are other organizations out there as well who are also doing the same thing. But in as far as unsustainable fishing practices goes, in the work that you do, Taru, over the past years, you've talked about how COVID has had in people now going out there to communities, and even now the strain is to provide for your family or to provide for commercially or for consumption. If you can just talk to us more about how this has changed, you've seen this in over the last few months maybe. Is it something that for you as a community facilitator found as a challenge where people are now going more into the ocean for sustainable and for commercial viability maybe?
Vinaka Matthew. I've noticed in the past 2 to 3 months during this pandemic, during this COVID-19, I've noticed that a lot of women, fisherwomen, they go out fishing. And not only they go for food for the table, but also for the income, as I've already mentioned in the first. I've noticed that the size of crabs and fish they brought in is a lot. I can see a difference, big difference. As like the
I think Taru
fish we used to get, 5 inches above. Nowadays, women, when they go out fishing, they catch the small ones. It shows that the trip out to the sea is daily, every day. Day in, day out, they go out to the sea to collect something for the table and something for the pocket. That is the changes I've noticed. Women are going in and out to the sea every day. Like before, we used to go to the sea once or twice in a week. During this time of during COVID-19, every day. Sometimes during high tide, we wait on the seashore until the tide is low, then we start fishing. Before when it's low tide, then we'll leave home, go to the sea. But this time it's different, totally different. Not only the women going out to the sea, but even students, children, they go to the sea to get something for the plate.
Thank you very much, Taru, for that insight. And I think it's something that's not only relevant in the Northern Division, but for those of us who are tuning in tonight, I think this is something that we're experiencing around the country. In as far as the work that you do in reaching out to communities, the awareness that you take out to communities, both for Anna and for Taru, something that we talked about earlier before the show was, if you can talk to us about the traditional ways of conserving, of keeping, of knowing when these crabs are spawning, or not to catch this crab when it's when it has eggs in its belly, or the traditional knowledge, and also the scientific knowledge. In reaching out to our communities, how have you seen these two practices, the traditional and the scientific, really marrying and auguring well in the work that you're doing in reaching out to our communities? If you can just tell us more about that, because for listeners who may be tuning in tonight, many are probably familiar with the science background to it. Many are familiar maybe with only the traditional aspect. So, as a platform to learn and to grow from our Talano tonight, or many may not know at all. And also, if you can just talk to us about that, more about that, the traditional aspect, the science, and how this kind of awareness is reaching out to the women fishers out there, or mud crab fishers.
I think Butar would know the traditional knowledge more about mud crabs, but from what I have more of a scientific background, and from what I know is, as I have explained before, the reason we go into the communities is because we know the importance of this resource, the mud crabs, and how it has supported women over the years, not just the women, but mud crab fishers in general, how it has supported them in earning an income and in supporting their families. So we came up with the idea of roping in experts from mud crab company Fiji, the crab company Fiji, and they are actually experts in this field in terms of brooding livestock, mud crab livestock, and rearing them. So what we tried to do is we tried to replicate their ideas into the communities. We chose the four mud crab communities that agreed to take on this project. And these were the communities where a lot of interest was shown. And there were a lot of women that actually go out on a day-to-day basis catching crabs to support their families. So the project was mud crab fattening. And what we understand from traditional knowledge is the crabs molt, and then they take a few weeks to gain weight in the crab. So what we try to do is we try to encourage the community members to get in these crabs that have just recently molted and fatten them. Similarly, just like how you would feed a pig in its pens to get it to fatten so that you can sell them. It's the same way, but we try to tell the community members not to get in the small ones, but to get the ones that have already matured, the ones that have already reached the set size limit, which is 12.5 centimeters or bigger than 5 inches. We get them and we place them in the pens that are just located near the villages, and we ask them to feed these mud crabs so that they can gain weight faster, and you get a reasonable price for it. So there's a difference. If you were to catch a crab that is just recently molted and you take it to the market, you won't get a reasonable price, because even though the size is big, it hasn't fattened up enough to give you that much needed weight, where then you can get a reasonable price. So this is what we try to introduce. This is the project we're trying to introduce into the community. I think I will let Botaru explain the traditional side of it. I only know the male and female crabs, the difference, the molting stages, the life cycles. I can explain that part, but I'll let Botaru explain the traditional part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Taru. Please, we'd like to hear from you. Please elaborate more on the traditional aspect and marrying it to the science that Anna's talked about.
Well, on the traditional part of the stories, some communities, crab is the totem. And in some other communities, it's like we have traditional ceremonies. Some communities, they present a pig and some turtles, and in some communities they present crabs. It is their traditional fish, I can say. And when we visited so many communities, and the traditional knowledge they always share is during some plants, when they are blooming, when they're flowering, there are certain plants, when flowering, it shows that the crabs are matured. They are really matured. And in some other communities, they share that when the breadfruit is fruiting in branches, like 3 or 4 in a branch, it shows 2 things, either a hurricane or there are a lot of crabs and matured crabs. And some other communities, when we visited, they said, in here this river is mainly for the crabs. They always breed here. There are a lot of crabs in here. Well, we do surveys and with WCS and PHLM representatives going through to villages, and they came out with the same thing. And we link these two stories, the one from the women fishers and the scientific from WCS and PHLM and other NGOs maybe. And well, it's the same. We're learning from the scientific methods, and the science methods, they link with traditional knowledge. Mm-hmm. And during this the spawning, when I can say that before I joined this NGO, before I knew the spawning of these mud crabs, or when they go out to the sea to take out the eggs, I mean to release the eggs. I heard from my grandparents that this is the time when the weather, sometimes it's cold. Well, that's what they said, the traditional knowledge. They know that during when these crabs go out to the sea to release eggs, this is the time when the weather is cold. And I asked some of them, and they said, yeah, we don't know, but it's always the case. Hardly you can see crabs in the on the shores, but you can go to the sea. Either you dive into the reef, you can see crabs there. Pinaka.
Well, some valuable insights shared by those of us tuning in tonight. You know, most of why we wanted to discuss this was Taru being a seasoned fisherwoman herself and now facilitator, community facilitator. You know, so many of our women out there, most of this knowledge is passed down from over generations. And it's good to have, you know, people of that have this kind of knowledge share this with us tonight. And for those of you tuning in tonight, you know, this is worth something to take note of. I'm particularly interested in what she's sharing about how they are able to marry this, the scientific work that's already been produced, and how those in our communities are starting to take in this as well. I'd like to bring in Mary in our discussions this evening, maybe from 4FJ Fish Smart campaign, in as far as what's been launched in November, that's building into this Qoli Vakamatau Show. You know, how important is getting key messages like this into our communities, and how does this tie into the work that the 4FJ movement is doing in as far as the 4FJ Fish Smart campaign? If you can just talk to us more about the 4FJ Fish Smart campaign this evening.
Thank you, Matthew. When we first started with the 4FJ campaign, it was more like, you know, concentrated on the 2 fish, kokau and don. That was how we started. So when we got the response from the public, how they supported it, and also because they were asking about the other fish and also the other critters as well. So with the overwhelming support from the public and from our people, now we have gone into the protection of the other fish and also the other critters. And that was how we started with the 4FJ Fish Smart. Because for 4FJ Fish Smart on Qoli Vakamatau, it is using the correct fishing gears and also fishing smart or practicing good practicing good fishing practices. And also in this, it is how you use, like for fishing nets, the right size of the mesh sizes that's already legalized. And also when you fish, if you fish the small ones, let them go because they need to grow. And also because in due time, you'll be able to eat those fish when they're bigger and more flesh as well. And also the smart fishing practices like if you're able to ban night fishing in your ngoli, that'll be also very good. And but it has to, everybody has to agree to that. So this fishing smart, fish smart campaign, it's something that the communities have to understand why it's important, and also you know what's legal and what's not legal. So you have to practice it and also follow the rules of the legislation that's already in place. So these are the things we are also asking those in rural areas. If you are in rural areas, please don't buy undersized fish. Don't buy undersized crabs. Yesterday, I went to the market in Langere, and I saw this lady selling very, very small mud crabs. And I asked her, why did you bring them? Do you know that they are, these crabs are really small, you shouldn't be selling them? Do you know the legal size? And then she said, oh, I don't know. So I think we still have a lot of work to do. We need to tell them and let them know. Maybe they know and they just pretend that they don't know, or maybe they don't know at all. I think it is our duty to send a message to them. And also for us, let us pledge not to buy undersized, because if we keep buying them, they'll keep bringing it out, and also the fishermen will keep bringing it because we are buying it. So if you stop buying them, they will not bring it to us because it's the demand. That's why people are bringing all these undersized fish and also the undersized crab. I think I'll leave it to the ladies to continue. And that is, somewhat what the 5G Fish Smart is about. Saying no to undersized fish, saying no to undersized crabs, saying no to anything that's undersized that hasn't reached maturity for them to reproduce again. And also during time they are spawning, let's leave them alone so that we can have more for tomorrow.
Thank you, Mehdi. I think it really ties in well to what Anna and Taru have been talking about. But, very concerning to see that despite the many awareness campaigns and programs that have been run by the Ministry of Fisheries and also with, its a network of stakeholders with the NGOs, those that are out there who continue to practice unsustainable fishing practices. And, for those of us who are tuning in tonight, this is something that we need to take upon ourselves. Sometimes we say, but I'm not aware of that these are the legal size limits. For anyone who has a good judgment, you can tell something that is still a baby and that needs to grow. We all have families, sometimes it's just a matter of common sense that when you are out there in the markets or fishing, that you are able to, articulate and share this. It's important for us. And that's why these kinds of telenos are very important, because it's informative for those of us who are tuning in tonight. I think I was hoping to just ask a few more questions to our guests, but we are running short of time for the first segment. I'd ask if we can just take a little break, and then we'll come back in the next segment talking about when do crabs spawn. I'll ask our experts on the panel to talk to us more about that, the kind of environment they thrive in. These are things that we need to know. And also, we'll get a community fisher from Lomanikoro to share with us her experience. So don't go away. Join us again in the next segment.
So, Mr. Fisheries Officer, how was your day today?
Oh, let me tell you about my day. Check out the crazy excuses I got today enforcing the Kau and Donu 4-month ban.
Oi, I thought it was only for live fish, this dead fish.
Huh? I thought it was for married fish. These fish are not married.
Then, this fish? What fish?
Yeah, and when I asked them how they got the fish, boy, the answers got even crazier.
Oi, it was nighttime when I bought it.
It jumped in the boat?
The thing was hiding in the bottle when I bought it.
Hey, this is not mine. Is it yours?
What? Come on, it's easier not to catch any of these fish than to come up with any more crazy excuses. So...
Thank you. Welcome back to our second segment of our Talano tonight. We are thankful that we can be joined by a few other speakers, our community workers in this segment, but I'll introduce them later as we continue from the questions laid in the first segment. I think for those of our audience who are tuning in tonight, what we wanting to know as follow through from what Taru, Alumeri, and Aled shared about mud crabs in the first segment is the life cycle of a mud crab. For those of us who are out there, we don't even know the difference between a female and a male mud crab. So I'd like to throw this question to our experts in Anna and Taru. We've been working in communities and also from WCS, where Anna is a fisheries officer. If you can just talk to us about the life cycle. How many times in a year does a mud crab spawn or gives birth or breed? And at what time actually give birth and where? These are some very important questions that, those of us who are maybe tuning in tonight are not aware of. So, if you can just discuss that with us tonight.
Vinaka, Matthew. To my understanding, mud crabs mate in warmer months. So in Fiji, there is no specific spawning season like we have for Kakao and Donu, which is June to September. So it's all year round. I know they mate in warmer months and they travel out to the ocean to spawn, so to release their eggs. Now, I'll take us back. The crab, they reach sexual maturity at 18 to 24 months. So this is roughly 2 years into their life. And the mature female, they release this chemical into the water. It's called pheromone, and it attracts the males. This happens when the female knows that it's about to molt, because fertilization, a male and a female crab cannot come together if the female still has a hard shell on. So once paired, the successful male will climb onto the female and pick her up and carry her around for about 4 days, waiting for the hard shell to come off, waiting for the female to molt. After she has shed her shell, then he turns her upside down and then inserts the sperm capsules into the female's reproductive opening. And fertilization does not happen simultaneously, it does not happen right at that moment. These sperms, the female crab can carry these sperms for months, waiting for its own eggs to mature enough to be able to be fertilized. So once it has been fertilized, the eggs are then carried around for about 12 days by this female until the eggs turn black. So once the eggs fertilize, they are orange in color. And once they reach, when they are mature, they turn black. And this is the time when the female starts traveling out, travels offshore to go and spawn. So basically swims for kilometers out into the sea. And that's where it goes down on the seafloor and stands on its 2 hind legs, and that starts releasing the eggs out into the water column. So once these eggs are released, they will be traveling up and down with the tide, or drifting along with the tide for about 3 to 4 weeks. And then they'll come back to the mangroves or to the intertidal range or to wherever they can settle, and then continue with that life cycle. So for them to reach maturity, it'll take them about 2 years, and then they will live for about 3 to 4 years. Then they die, or of course someone else kills them for food. Yeah, that's basically the life cycle of a mud crab.
So its life capacity is 3 to 4 years.
Yes, life capacity is 3 to 4 years, reaches maturity at 2 years old.
2 years old. And in this the 2 years where it reaches sexual maturity, what size does it grow up to?
So the size that it can grow to would be about 11 to 12 centimeters when it reaches maturity. But the legal size limit in Fiji is 12.5 centimeters. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is an interesting fact, because for those who are tuning in, Alumni is just shared in the last segment about really little crabs that are now being sold in our markets. And for those of us who are tuning in tonight, like for you to allow these crabs to produce, they have to reach a certain age and in a time span of 2 years. So if you're catching crabs that are lesser than 12.5 centimeters on the back, that is, Is that on the back, On the back of the crab, yeah.
Yes, the carapace length, yeah.
Yeah. If you're buying something or catching something that's below 12.5 centimeters, is around 10 centimeters, then you are just, contributing to the decline of this particular delicacy. For those of you tuning in tonight, that has to make, that needs to be something that needs said. And if you're catching crabs that are below 12.5 centimeters at the back, then you are contributing to that decline. I want to rope in Taru, in as far as the awareness in reaching out to communities. Most communities already know this. Why, and in spite of the awareness that is getting out there, people continue to break that law. In your experience, Taru, in working in communities, why is it? Okay, apart from sustainability and income, what else can you put to it? That are calling to go into just sustainable fishing.
Okay, so there are a lot of workshops and awareness carried out in communities to only fish for the size limits, like 5 inches or 12.5 centimeters. People, they they ignore. So they are breaking the law. They're breaking the law. And how many times you've been to supermarket and nursery market, still we can see small crabs. They're fishing for small crabs. At the moment, I can say people are starving. People are starving for food and for money. So that's why they bring in the small ones. Even though we've been preaching, we've been encouraging them to fish for the big ones, but they probably, just like we talk from their back, they don't want to listen. And they said that some of them, they say, well, we came across this, so we have to take it because we saw it. We found this under the roots of those of the mangroves. It's where they live. So we've been encouraging them not to fish for the small ones, but to get the big ones, because crabs will live only 3 to 4 years and up to 3.5 kilogram per crab. It's about 3.5 kilogram. That's the heaviest, I can say. But some within that period, it can stay for 3 kg or like 2.9 or 2.8. But the heaviest I've ever come across or heard, it's 3.5 kilogram. And the heavier the crab is, you can get more money with it. In some places, they sell the crabs for like $16, $18. Agro marketing is buying the crabs for $20. And some they buy for $25. In some part of Fiji, some are buying a crab for $25 a kg, $20 to $25 a kg, and that's good money.
Yeah,
that's good money.
That is good money.
Yes. And we encourage we've been talking this on this topic, the fattening cage or the crab pen. Yeah. And this is where we can feed the crabs, keep the crabs and feed them twice daily, so that the weight is, they maintain the weight. The weight will grow from like 900 grams to 1 kilo. And once we take them to the market, they sell those crabs with good money.
Wow, this so interesting fact shared by Taru. You know, for those of us who are tuning in tonight or continue to catch this, it is a lucrative a business, but if you allow them to breed, you know, the more they grow, the bigger sizes you get, the more money it fetches for. And you know, thank Anna and Taru for already sharing with us in the first segment. And now as Taru talked to us about the crab fattening pen or cage, this also or, you know, helps in more fishers not fishing for undersized crabs. But you know, Taru asked this question in our talkback show on the same subject last week. How big does you know, does crab have to be put in the cage? Does it has some kind of limit that you have to you know, what the size of crab that you put into a cage? Is it small, or what sort of sizes is it good to get crabs in these pens?
Well, the size of crabs to be placed in that pen, it's the normal size of 12.5 centimeter or 5 inches and above. And if you catch the undersized crabs, then you're against the law, because we only go for the fattening process. We don't take
so the crabs that you put in the cage has to be within the legal limit, the legal size, the 12.5.
Yes.
Okay. So for us, those of us who are tuning in tonight, there has to be a legal size limit in that kind of crab that you put into a fattening cage. What are some of Yeah.
I'm sorry, Matthew. If you bring in the undersized crabs, and you have to go through the fisheries department, you have to seek permits for the undersized crabs, because
to put in the
ones, yes, the ones we have to take and fish and put in the cage are the legal size. And also the molting one. There are compartments in some cages where one compartment is only for the molting crabs. We don't place them together with the hard ones.
So for the benefit of those tuning in tonight, molting crabs are crabs that are
shedding its old shell.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So for those tuning in, the molting crabs are the crabs that are shedding its old shell. Eh?
Yes.
So what are some of the challenges that are faced in with having a mud crab fattening cage? For some of the challenges that you've been seeing over the years. Maybe Anna, what are some?
I think the main challenge that we have faced in this project when it was initially introduced was, okay, we come into the community, we introduce the project, everyone is interested. They go, they build the pens, they go and insert it in the mangroves, they put the mud crabs in, and then they forget about it. So what we've tried to do is we're trying to revive the project. We're trying to inform the women of the importance of this fattening system, because we want them to earn a reasonable income. We want them to get a good sum of money for all the hard work that they do. And yeah, so we don't want to see the project just die out. So that is why we are there. We're trying to support these women. Yeah, so we have tried to reintroduce this project into the communities and getting them to understand the importance. We haven't reached the stage where women have actually fattened their crabs to sell to see if they've gained more than what they have earned before. So hopefully after this COVID lockdown is over and we're able to continue the project, then we are going to head back into the community and try to restart the whole process. The building of the mud crab cages, it does not take a lot of materials. It may acquire a lot of time and a lot of help from the communities, but we are only using bamboos, a bit of nails to erect the compartments, the cages for this fattening process. And we are asking the ladies not to bring the small sized crabs, because it'll take you a long time to feed these crabs, because they will go through that molting process 3-4 times before you can reach that size that you want and the weight that you want. So we are asking you to just get the legal size, the one that is already 12.5 centimeters, so that it doesn't take you a long time to fatten them to sell, to be able to earn that income that you're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Anna. I think maybe if you can, what we'll try and do is we'll also show some pictures for those of us who are tuning into that. Maybe you can see some pictures of the mud crab fattening cages Anna and Taru are talking about. So you can see them on the show as well. Okay. For those of us tuning in tonight, we have two guests who are here with us from our communities who would like to share with us their experiences in as far as mud crab management goes. So all the way from Lomanikoro, you can see on Taru Veibi's screen out there is Pasiva Bulakele, who's a fisherwoman from Lomanikoro. Done it over a number of years, so she'll be sharing some of her experiences with us tonight. And also, tuning in from Samoa today is Isoa Naro. You can see Isoa because of communication or connection challenges. He can we can only get his audio today tonight and get him to talk about his experiences as well in as far as mud crab management goes in our community. So we would like to welcome them this evening. If Iso is tuning in, if you'd like to say hello, and also to Vasiva, who's tuning in from Bua. Iso, if you can unmute yourself and say hello to our audiences tonight, and also to Vasiva, sorry. Okay, so I lost us a bit there. Maybe we'll cross over to Vasiva. Vasiva, if you can talk to us about Timbula to our audiences tonight, and also share with us number of questions that I'd like to share with you. What is the greatest challenge for women in your part of the country as far as mud crabs and sustainability? Vasiva?
Naka Membulare, my name is Vasiva Mbulakeve, and I'm originally in Bua village. As the first question, I would like to elaborate on it as a challenge for us. It is a great challenge for us here in Bua, I would say, because I didn't even know about others, and I would like to just elaborate about us here in Bua. The most challenging us fisherwomen here in Bua. Firstly, I would like to say it is the catching of the right size of mud crabs.
Right.
And secondly, the market, as most of the time, like to date, as we are facing a COVID-19 cases, which is make us difficult for us to go to the market where it's been provided for us as a pandemic also goes. So this is our greatest challenge for us here in Bua village, Vinaka.
Thank you very much for that, Vasiva. I think for those of us who are tuning in tonight, very invaluable lessons shared by Vasiva in as far as mud crab management, fishing management goes. And for those of us, it's very important. There's something that we are hearing from those who are sharing with us this evening. That's the importance of always being aware of your environment, your resources, your goli, and always looking to the future to preserving them or conserving them. Another question I wanted to ask was, why is it important that these sorts of information is shared to other women in Fiji? To Vasiva, for in your experiences of in the community that you're part of, women play an influential role in sending out important messages in the home. You are influencers. How is it important that women share this, have this kind of knowledge that you're talking about as well?
Vinaka, yes, it is very important indeed to share this information to other women in order to decrease or avoid selling undersize of mud crabs or over harvesting crabs, mud crabs. As I can say that as I am a fisherwoman, before I used to catch even small sizes of crabs, even the soft one. As going through this assessment or awareness, it makes me know more or to make aware that even mud crabs, they need time to breed or they need time to grow as like human beings. It makes me feels more, I would like to say that it hurts me because I know most of the time I used to catch any types of crabs, even small ones, because mostly I would like to say that most of us are catching these small crabs and saying that, like in Bua dialogue, or I would say that, I can say that. It makes sweet or tasty for us. But going through this awareness, it makes my knowledge, it brightens my knowledge to know that crabs, mud crabs, they need time to grow mature, and that's the best time for us to harvest it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those insights, Vasiva. For us who are tuning in tonight, there couldn't be a message so resounding as that for someone who's a fisherwoman challenging other fisherwomen. You are the influencers in our communities, in our society today. And it's important that women empower other women as well. So, thank you so much for your time, Vasiva, and thank you for sharing that with us. We hope, and there's a hope that your message will continue to break beyond borders and reach other women and even other men in our communities today, and the importance of preserving or conserving our resources for the future. I'd like to take us back to Isoa. Maybe Isoa, if he's on again, or I don't see he's here. Okay, since Isoa is gone, I'd like to move on with our discussions before we go into the next break. What I wanted to ask Taru and Anna is, as we go back to the mud crab fattening cages, I think the few other questions that have come up in as far as the project that is, I know Anna has already shared some of the projects, the winnings of the projects that have run with WCS. In terms of with Taru, experience in rolling out this program, maybe if you can shift the camera to Taru so she can come towards the middle, so we can see her. In as far as your experience goes, yeah, about mud crabs, fattening cages. Talk to us about challenges that that continue to be faced with. Is it poachers as well? Is poachers something that those who have mud crab cages have to contend in the Tambu areas as well? We heard about Andiana from Ramatau, from Rabi in Bua, talk to us about as well. Poachers in their part of a village and how the Tambu has seen, resources of crabs come out and go into the non-Tambu areas. So for us, Taru, if you can shed some more light on that as well for our audiences tonight.
Like poachers are everywhere. Out in the sea, mud crabs, the fattening cage, mainland, still people poach. It's not limit. The first fattening cage we did was in the district of Mbua in Navunevu. Even though there's a cage, we put the crabs inside. We close and tie what do you call that, flap. We close it properly. Still poachers, they go poaching. They poach the crabs inside the pen. And we came up with a tambu. Yes, the women of Navunevu and me. We all agreed that we should have a tambu area. So we put the tambu together with the fattening cage. As Anna already mentioned, that the fattening cage is the resources that we only have, the available resources like bamboos, whatever, with nails and raffia strings. Those are the only things we use for the cages. And we managed to put up a management plan. And to my understanding that the management plan with the tambu and the cages, it will help. It will help us to maintain or to get the good sized crabs. And that is where we were left. We had a management plan. And I've already mentioned in our first talkback show that this year is the 3rd year and we have to lift the ban. So still the poaching is on. Even though, as I've said, even though we put the crabs in the pen, even though the pen is there are challenges. And the poachers, they just come in, they take the big ones. So some of them, they took all the crabs that are in the pen. And so we can't do much on that because poachers are everywhere. As I've mentioned, poachers are out in the sea, poachers are along the seashore, in the mangroves, along the rivers, even the ones in the pen, still poaching is there. But there are challenges, as my friend Vasiva already shared that during awareness, she came to know what are the right size of crabs to be caught. And the market in here, that's why we put up the cage. The cage in Mbua, it was mainly for the Tikina Mbua from Navunia. They were really far from the main center to sell their cage. It took them half a day to travel, just to travel from the village to the main market. And another half a day they have to sell. Otherwise, they'll just give it to somebody there who can sell, start in the morning, and the next day they will come back. That's why we put up the pen. And this pen here, it only works for about 1 or 2 years. Then this cyclone came and just destroyed it. But that's how things work. And as I mentioned about poaching, and I've said poaching is everywhere, in the sea, in the land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Taru, for sharing that with us. We'll now go to a break to the end of our second segment, but don't leave us. We'll come back to you on the third segment with more about mud crab fishing management.
Lebuni Ciriyawa enangona liu leka wala ondak lebuni ikaliliu enangongo ningai sangai nai kasala ko makaya wasar balabuna lak ya so nai Ciriyawa tamai sa sin bakan lebuni kan do rawi liu kana kin kalliu
Now it's time to teach the fishermen how to fish and how to save the fish for future generations.
Nakenangan rebi me maroroi ka me bahayanga ta ya rang di taka ko kena bu ya kena maroroi pi angol. Merandra maroroi to hinangoli meramatua merandra bakaso me nakai baleti raha wa irena muri mai na fishing.
Rauni kuniali nei ko govira na vitamata tolu vana tamata matemuri makumbungu pertuna luvena taraver tamata matemuri kuniali vera nei ko.
One of my dreams was to ensure that I bring those glory days back. The days that we were abundant in resources, there were a lot of fish there.
Thank you. Welcome again to the third segment and the last segment of our this evening on mud crab fishing management. I think in the last two segments we hope we have been able to cover some very important aspects about mud crab management to our audiences tonight. And we're thankful for those who are our two community people, fishers, who joined us, Vasiva And also with Isoa, although Isoa wasn't able to join us this evening because of internet connection challenges out in Tabua, we hope we can catch up with him sometime later. But for our two guests tonight, just like to I think talked extensively about mud crab management. We talked about fattening cages. We talked about the life cycle of crabs tonight. We talked about the work that they do in their communities. But now, as we've always wanted to use this platform, is empowering people, empowering or changing mindsets, change behaviors. And no better platform to do it and to have two people who are passionate about the work that they do. It is in Anna and Taru. I just want to throw it back to them in their closing statements to us tonight. And as far as I know, we are inundated with the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a lot of cases, growing cases every day. And there are deaths as well that are accompanying it. And with it has come unemployment. There's so much, a range of in our societies that have been affected today. And it's put a lot of pressure on our natural resources. So from Anna, I just wanted to hear from you this evening, and to those of us who are tuning in tonight, your closing statements on keeping this or keeping to good sustainable practices so that we are able to have more of this in the future. Anna.
I think an important message that I would like to reiterate is the involvement of women in decision-making processes, especially when it comes to management plans. One thing that we have noticed while working with communities is mostly the men are the ones who make a lot of the decisions that in making these management plans. And what we've noticed is the area that they choose to close off is usually a fishing ground for the ladies. So the fishing ground becomes automatically displaced, and then they have to travel further to fish. Now, women in Fiji are one of the largest contributors in the fisheries sector, and I think they're quite undervalued in that area. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to include them in a lot of the decision-making processes in the communities that we work with. And through this, we're using the gender lens approach. So what we try to do is we try to introduce a lot of GESI activities that would, GESI is a gender equality and social inclusion approach. And this is just to make the men understand the important roles that women play in the communities, not only the communities, but in other sectors that of the livelihood in their villages. And I think it is important that that women are involved in these processes so that their voices are heard. Even though our views may differ, it's important to know that they also have a voice, and that we have to take that voice into consideration. It's a 21st century. Equality is a huge topic now, and it's important to be inclusive. That is one of the main messages that I wanted to bring up. Secondly, I think it's important for us as resource champions in our own communities to make sure that the resources are available for the future generations. I know and I understand that these resources was provided by God for all of us to use, but I think it should be used wisely, and so that there is a lot more available for those coming in the future. Vinaka.
Thank you very much for that, Anna. I know that relevant to us in communities, and also thank you for roping in. There's always going to be challenges in the involvement of women in our communities, but as we talk more, as we use platforms like this, I'm sure these voices will be heard, as we already heard earlier in the two segments. Women are influencers, and no better platform like this, and also in the communities that we work in really harnessing this, that their voices need to be heard as well. Also for Taru, I know there's always the challenge of the unity in the work of actors in the NGO space. So talk to us if you can tie that in with the challenges that you also face as women working in that space, in the communities that you work in, and also your final thoughts on tonight's topic for our audiences.
Binaka Matthew, Binaka Anna, one of the topic that was shared in 2017 in New York was women healer of the ocean. Why women? Women healer of the ocean. And I think we women, we use the ocean, not only the ocean, but we use the sea almost every day. And we are the ones who can go fishing. We use sustainable fishing methods, because we are the ladies, we women, we mothers, we go out and look for food for the families. So if we get the small ones, the men, the children will point at us. You're getting the small ones, what else can be for our children for tomorrow, for the future? So my closing message this afternoon is going to be, if you are a tauke, or we are good custodians, we are the custodians of our fishing ground. If you are a tauke, if you are a resource owner, use it wisely, whatever, either a tree or a fish or whatever. You have to protect. For me, for you, for our future generation. Pinaka.
Powerful closing statement there from Taru this evening. I know for those of us who are tuning in tonight, I like that girl that grab she shared with us. Women are healers of the ocean. And I think, no better statement to end our Talano session tonight. I'd like to rope in Mary, if she's still there. Mary, if there's something that you want to just tie in before as we come to an end, to tie into what Anna and Taru have said tonight, before we will close in our Talano session tonight.
Thank you, Matthew. For the 4FJ movement, the logo at the bottom, it says, protecting our way of life. So, protecting our way of life in Fiji. So that means, for traditional obligations, or for your food tomorrow, for income. Let's think of other people. And also, I'd like to challenge other women. We are the decision makers in the home. If somebody has left mud crab there because it was small, it is because she was thinking of you or other people who are coming after you. So it wasn't left there, without a purpose. So a challenge for us now, if you see the smalls, just leave them, because one day you'll come back, you'll see that it has grown bigger. And also you'll get more, and to feed your family first, and also for income. And also, we should also remember that we are the ones behind the scene, the women. For every good home, it is the woman that's the main person in that home who has made it the best home. So I'm telling I'm challenging other women, please, let's pledge together to say no to undersized mud crabs on gutting. Not only that, but other critters as well, and also fish. Let's say no. Let them breed, let them grow bigger so that they can reproduce, and then we can always have more tomorrow for us now, and also for our grandchildren and our great-great-grandchildren who are coming after us.
Thank you very much for those deliberations, ladies. Panel session tonight, I know our audiences will agree, has been fruitful and inspiring. And we thank you for availing yourselves to come on the show tonight. We would like to we'd like to just, show our sincere gratitude and appreciation for being able to come onto the show tonight for Taru Veibi, who's a community facilitator with FLEMA, and also with Anna Ciriyawa from WCS, Wildlife Conservation Society, and also for my colleague here at 4FJ Movement. We'd like to thank you all for giving your time, also for Isoa and also to Vasiva coming on board to share your experiences about mud crab fishing management. And I know for those who are tuning in tonight, there's been a great deal that we can take away from the learnings of the women that have shared tonight. So thank you so much. And we continue to hope that the work that you do in your communities will be far-reaching and effective as you continue to share or to be advocates or champions of saying no to undersized mud crabs and undersized fishes and critters, so that we are thinking of our future. With that, we'll come to the end of the show. We look forward to next week's deliberations. There's, I think next week is also International Mangrove Day for the two women who are here. It's something important to the ecosystem that mud crabs thrive in, mangroves, and I'm sure it'll be a good discussion for us, something that we can look forward in the coming week as we deliberate or as we ponder on World International Mangrove Day. With that, thank you very much for joining us, and see you all next time.